Tēnā koutou. A very warm welcome to those of you who are here in this room, and also to many of you who may be joining us online and from around the world. A very warm welcome to those of you who are here in this room, New Zealand, and also to many of you who may be joining us online and from around the world. Family and friends. Kia ora. Greetings from Aotearoa, New Zealand, Kevin's home. My name is Janelle, and I consider together we are the whānau, family and friends to grieve our Kevin Nicholas Moorhead, but also to celebrate. My name is Janelle, and I consider it a privilege with what you have been up to, and always with such pride in her voice when she speaks of you. And you too, Adam. Let's go on that journey. The family have written about Kevin's life, and I'm honoured to read that to you now. So let's go on that journey. At the time of his birth, Louise was 12 years old. Kevin Nicholas Moorhead was born on 15th September 1990. After Kevin. At the time of his birth, Louise was 12 years old and Helen was 10 years old. Adam was born 18 months after Mairangi Bay when Kev was 6 years old. Our family were living in Henderson when he was born and moved to Whenuapai when he was 2 years old. His first followed by a move to Mairangi Bay when Kev was 6 years old and remained living on the North Shore for the next 20 years. Bay, and Kevin completed his first few months of school in 95 was at Whenuapai Primary School. During this following year, the family moved to Mairangi Bay, and Kevin completed his primary school he made some great friends, which in turn, along with their families, during this time he played soccer for East Coast Bays and also softball. From Mairangi Bay Primary, and it was here he made some great friends, which in turn, along with their families, became love of riding anything with two wheels as he raced. From Mairangi Bay Primary, he moved on to Murray's Bay Intermediate, which saw the beginning of his love of riding anything with two wheels as he raced around the BMX track, even forming a group. Rangitoto College was next, and here Kevin went from bucket racing at the kart track to all things motorcycles, and even forming a group called Shore Stunters with his friend Xander, practicing tricks and stunts every spare minute they got, and even performing for the college students at lunchtime, which appeared in the local newspaper. Finishing family holidays overseas to both Australia and Fiji were also highlights of these college years. 2010 saw him enroll at Unitec for a 4-year Finishing year 13, he had a gap year while deciding on what to do next. Engineering. 2010 saw him enroll at Unitec for a 4-year degree in the Bachelor of Applied Technology and Automotive Engineering, graduating in 2013 when he was 23 years old. It was also in 2013 during this period he celebrated his Showdown. When Tech Showdown in the year to come, he began hosting for Playtech on their YouTube channel, while his own channel continued to grow. During this period, he also ran when Tech Showdown reached 50,000 subscribers. It was a huge milestone for Kev. During this period, he also ran for local council as an independent with a strong focus on urban transport systems, which became a highlight, and Kev returned with a love of another holiday followed in 2016 with a trip to Japan with his friend Dave for 2 weeks, and Tech which became a highlight, and Kev returned with a love of traveling, visiting both Sydney and Taiwan. Through his work for visits to Taiwan, he also travelled to Hong Kong with his then girlfriend Catherine to meet her family. His visit to Taiwan, he also travelled to Hong Kong with his then girlfriend at the start of 2018 that they both fell in love with the country and decided that a move to Taipei was imminent. August 2018 saw Kev and Kat move from their home in Northcote to Taipei, stopping on their way to visit Kev's grandparents in Australia. Their mood was jubilant and excited as they embarked on the adventure of a lifetime. Although Kev and Kat's 6-year relationship ended, they both decided to stay on in Taipei. Kev moved into a flat while continuing with Tech Showdown after a stint of teaching English in an American school. But his biggest adventure was yet to come when in August 2019 he embarked on a soul-searching journey by himself, driving from one end of Vietnam to another on a motorbike, a journey which took him a month. That journey that he undertook healed, comforted, and renewed him. The family are going to come now and share their special memories of Kevin, and I want to acknowledge how difficult this can be for them and for us, but it's also a way to work through our grief, and it's part of our collective human experience. So I encourage you to embrace the tears, the laughter, the awkward silences, and the questions. Whatever expression you give to your grief today, it is welcomed. Are we ready, family?
Thanks everyone for coming along today. We've had a lot of support. It's obviously a bad time for us, but we really thank everybody for getting in there behind us. Thanks very much for coming along today. I'd like to also just thank, Janelle mentioned these people, but Louis Madeley and Yetzo, who was Adam's friend over in Taiwan, they were really awesome at the start because we didn't really know how bad Kev was. There's always a language barrier with these sort of countries, and you don't really know if it's as bad as what they're saying. I mean, you hope that it isn't. But anyway, they were there, and through them, we managed to get over there in time. Also, Kev's girlfriends, Janet and Catherine, they were really awesome. They were there with us the whole time, and they could help out with the translations, with the doctors coming in. We didn't really understand what was going on a lot of the time. And a lot of forms had to be filled out. Steve and Tim, or Steve Walton, with Kev's YouTube, friends with the GoFundMe, that was just awesome, We were really a little bit worried, to be honest, because of the hospital costs, because it wasn't really covered, It's a private hospital. The Buddhist Foundation, there was a few of their members came in just before. They were excellent up there. They were very supportive. And one of them was sort of like our MC at Kev's Taipei service. I just want to pick up basically right at the end of Janelle, what she was talking about. So Kevin took the breakup with Catherine fairly hard, and he wasn't really 100% sure what he wanted to do, and he did the Vietnam motorcycle trip. And it was just what he needed, actually, to, you know, refocus on what's going on. So it was quite a hard trip that he did. He went from the top Hanoi down to Ho Chi Minh. It took him a month, and he did it all on his own. And I remember him saying that, you know, it was a bit tougher than what he thought, and a lot of the people that he saw were living in pretty crappy conditions, to be honest, but they were happy with their lives. And he said, you know, it's good that when you see these people, they didn't have what we've had, you know, because we grew up in pretty good conditions, really, didn't we? And these people never got that head start, but they were still happy with their lives. And it's a good lesson, I think. I think the big thing that we got from when you watch his Vietnam video was that he said that he had rediscovered his independence and then realised that he never really lost it. So that was quite interesting, but good for him to carry on from that point. Okay, so he really liked Vietnam, and at the end of it he met a young lady called Anna in Ho Chi Minh. They became good friends, and he went back to Vietnam again, didn't he, for a couple of weeks around his birthday, and celebrated his birthday with her. So it was all looking up, and he was at that crossroads of he wasn't too sure what he wanted to do. So he was thinking about moving to Vietnam, and meanwhile back in Taipei he met another young lady, and this was Janet, who I mentioned earlier. You know, and Janet was really, really nice. We didn't actually meet Anna.
No.
So things were getting a bit complicated for Kev.
Anyway, unfortunately, whilst he was deciding what to do, he got sick. But I don't think he realised how sick he was until he finally went into hospital on the Thursday, and he collapsed there. We think that's when he collapsed. And they had so much trouble trying to work out what was going on with him. They put him on, he was on dialysis straight away, and he was on the ventilated, and they put him in a coma. And even though none of us were there, Louis was there and the girls were there, none of the family had arrived yet until Adam was the next one to get there. So we were all arriving in different stages because of plane flights and things. But they worked on him anyway. They put him on dialysis. They put him on the oxygen. He had tubes galore running through him. And they didn't know if it was Q fever, if it was dengue fever, if it was this, if it was that. They had no idea what was going on. And they just threw everything at him. And his body, and he fought like mad. Didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And we all took turns. He was never left on his own. We all took turns all the time being with him and talking to him. We drove the ICU people crazy because it was totally a no-no for people to be in there. But we gowned up and everything, and we went in all the time, and we talked to him. And we told him to keep fighting. And he fought. And then 4 days later, all his organs failed, and he died. But by God, he tried to stay with us. So, the doctors still didn't know what was wrong, and they think it was 2 pathogens, or whatever they call them. And it just, his body just could not cope, could it?
No.
And so, it was just tragedy and just very bad luck for him.
Yeah, I think there is an element of, you know, like luck in these things, and, you know, we got the bad luck side of it, in that there was probably several things wrong with Kevin, but a lot of the symptoms are the same, so they don't really know what to do, and they can only give so much of certain sorts of medicine, and I know with one of them that he was having, it was the danger of cardiac arrest if they gave too much, and he did seem to be getting better there for a while, but just unfortunately, they did the best they could, and they were really good doctors too. Everybody said that was a really good hospital.
Yeah, and we had the top
virologist.
Infection person, and they gave him 3 blood transfusions in 4 days, 3 whole blood transfusions, which was fantastic. You know, they just really went for it, and they really tried to save him. So they were wonderful. Yeah. So, and he knew we were there. I know he knew we were there, talking to him. Yeah.
They can still hear. And we knew that Kevin could hear because sometimes when there was a loud noise, he used to jump. So that was good. You know, we could all help him along. Yeah. And it was good for us too, you know, being able to talk to him.
And he went with no pain, absolutely no pain at all. You know, so that's the good side of it. Yeah. And he just went. And that was it. Hey.
Yeah, yeah.
He couldn't do any more.
Okay, we'll just talk about some of the other stuff about our time in Taipei there. Catherine and Janet, they were really, really good, as I said before. But also what was good with them was that they took us around, you know, where Kevin's favourite spots were in that, you know, like the restaurants that they used to go to and places that they used to hang out. So, as an example, me and Adam, you know, we had the old Kevi special at his favourite Japanese restaurant, and we went up the Taipei 101, which is a huge big tower block building, and we had a picture of Kevin standing beside a window, and there was a sort of bit of a feature of the building outside, so we got up to the top there and we worked out where he was standing, and we all got our photo taken. Just stuff like that, you know, it's good, eh?
It helped. Oh, and the funeral, the Taipei
Yeah.
funeral.
Also, Kev, you know, his Tech Showdown channel on YouTube, you know, that was a great part of his life. And he loved all technology, really. You know, he's right into his motorbikes and his cars, and, you know, he seemed to have a real fascination with tanks too, it would seem, you know, when you watch that video.
Vietnam one.
Yeah. But, he loved the computer stuff, and he was very knowledgeable with it. And, you know, when you see his videos, he's good at putting the information across. It's not too technical or anything, you know, so people can understand it and make choices as to what they want to buy. He had 57,000 subscribers. It's also amazing when you look at the technology of actually over his lifetime, that when he was born in 1990, that, you know, people, that the phones were just, you know, like attached to houses and buildings and things. Not many people had mobile phones or anything, and if you couldn't get hold of people, you wrote them a letter and stuff like that. You know, you see how much it's changed now, and that's what was really good for us, that we could get over and see Kevin, you know, within, a day. And we all came from totally different places, Australia, New Zealand, but through Messenger and emails and, you know, our phones, and you can book online, you can get your tickets for the airlines and that. It's just so easy now. It's a great time to be alive, I think. Okay, so with his service, he really loved Taipei, Taiwan, so we wanted to give him a good Taiwanese-style service and cremation. And, it was a bit of a mission to get it all sorted, wasn't it? You know, we didn't have much time, and they got a different way of doing things over there. But we pulled it off. That was a big thing, you know. It was just amazing. You've probably seen, there's a picture there. That's all real flowers. And that's the Kev that was up the back there. We brought him home. But it was just amazing, you know. They could put that together so quickly. There was bees flying around those flowers. And, you know, it was a traditional building, and we picked out an old Cadillac for the hearse because he liked the old classic cars. So, it was a good send-off for him, as is this one. So, we're very proud of Kevin. Yeah, great son.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll just read this a little bit here. So I just found this little piece. It's called Why. Ever since you went away, the days go slowly by, and the hardest thing to cope with is never knowing why. That I don't understand and maybe never will. Questions left unanswered. Now your voice is still. To lose you was unbearable. And time again, I've tried to look for reasons that no one can explain. Life and death hold mysteries, but one thing is for sure. I loved you then, I love you now, and will forevermore.
So I'm Louise, Kevin's eldest sister. As the eldest of Kevin's siblings, I have the joy of being able to remember him from the day he was born. Kevin was the most gorgeous and delightful baby and toddler with big blue eyes, blonde hair, and an ever-present smile. He was complete when 18 months after he was born, his partner in crime, Adam, was born. These two boys ensured that Helen and I were kept very busy with fun activities like hanging out 30 cloth nappies before going to school, and also on occasion being sick on us in our school uniforms. However, I did manage a small degree of revenge during a garage sale at our home in Vanuapai when I taped a sign saying "free to a good home" to the then 2-year-old Kevin's back. The telling off I received from Mum still made it all worthwhile. From watching Barney and playing with his Matchbox cars to zooming up and down the crazy driveway at Nereus Place on his scooter, skateboard and bike. Becoming addicted to Need for Speed and hogging our first ever family computer. Trying to watch The Simpsons without Mum finding out. Acting in all of Adam's first home movies. Going boogie boarding at Mairangi Bay after school during summer. Solely surviving on a diet of corn chips alone during his teenage years whilst performing motorbike stunts. Loving when Carl's Jr. opened on the North Shore, which became his favourite burger place. Graduating with a degree from Unitec and going on to prove to us all in this ever-changing world that a career can be made on YouTube. Then fully living his dream in Taipei. Kevin, you had the ultimate good times. The last time I spoke to Kev was in July. We chatted for at least an hour. When we ended our conversation, I told him how proud I was of him and how much I loved him. Words cannot describe how much it now means that I said those words to him. None of us know what is going to happen in the future, let alone tomorrow. So please make sure your loved ones know exactly what they mean to you. Grief never ends, but it changes. It is a passage, not a place to stay. The sense of loss must give way if we are to value the life that was lived. Kevin was an amazing brother and uncle whom we loved very much and will forever miss him and remember him.
Let me take you back to the beginning. Rounded belly,
skin stretching with each punch and kick, a 9-year-old watching, utterly fascinated with a baby growing inside. 15th of September, a beautiful blonde baby boy arrives. His smile and laugh light up the room. No need to play with dolls anymore. I have a real-life baby to feed, change, and play with. Hours of fun and games, so much laughter, and the occasional fight thrown in just for good measure. As a young boy, you took a keen interest in bookie boarding, Thomas the Tank Engine, Lego, Grandad's quad bike, soccer, computer games, and BMX bikes. As the years passed, your interests turned to girls, motorbikes, cars, and of course, news and current affairs, as well as politics. He had an opinion on everything. You paved a career online that we initially doubted. How you proved us wrong. And now you leave this legacy behind so that we can watch you anytime we want. From a bonny baby to a daredevil teenager, and becoming a fulfilled man with a big heart full of love and kindness. Kevin, you shone brightly in our lives, and you keep shining brightly upon us, a star in the night sky.
Full house. So the last 2 weeks have been awful, and I have been, I'm a producer by trade, so I've been trying to produce a funeral, and I've had about 100 checklists, crossing stuff off, and the last thing I had to check off was write eulogy, and I put that off because when I was with Kevin in hospital, I realized that there was a lot of stuff I needed to say to him. And he knew most of it already, but I just wanted to be like, triple check and be sure. And I had this letter which I read to him a couple of times that I don't think he liked very much because he screwed up his face every time I did. But up until last night, I decided that I wouldn't read it because it was a private thing between me and Kev. And I'd rather tell you a story. A real story that means a lot to me. And it's a bit crude, but Kevin always told me to be myself, so cover your ears. Kevin and I weren't always the best of friends, but we were always the best of brothers. And while the last 2 weeks have been like a chaotic nightmare, and I can't wait to have some serious therapy, there have always been love-filled memories flooding through my mind like rain, washing away the sadness. And these were often small moments that we shared. And in the last few years, that was often just over the phone or during a quick bite to eat in a strange foreign city. But there are a couple of moments that stuck out over the years that had a really profound impact on me as a person. And of course, Kevin was always right there with me. Like the first time I watched gay porn, Kevin was there. I wished he wasn't. He had walked in and laughed his head off. I was horrified, literally the first time I ever opened it up on my browser. I tried to make some excuse that the computer had a virus, but his response, he was very wise. Yeah, right, Adam, the video's halfway through. Of course, he kept it a secret, as he always did, but he laughed at me throughout the family dinner that night. Then I fell in love with a guy and my world was turned upside down. I was incredibly confused and hadn't yet worked out my emotions or my identity, but Kevin was there. I was sitting in my car having parked outside the house and was just totally lost in thought. Kevin suddenly opened the passenger side door and knelt down on the driveway. He knew something was up. All right, who do I have to beat up? He said. What? It's not like that. Okay, he said wisely. Is it a guy or a girl? knowing full well it was probably a huge black man, like in that video I'd seen me watch a while ago. "It's a guy, Kevin," I replied. "I always knew you were gay," he said. "I'm not gay, I might be bisexual. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he said. And with that, Kevin was the first person that I sort of came out to. He was always the first to know everything. I brought my first boyfriend to my family birthday party when I was 21, a really big moment for me, and Kevin was there, proudly beaming. Or maybe he was laughing at me, I can't remember, but he wanted to know all the details, the gory details, and I shooed him away. But he was endlessly supportive of me, and he always had my back. And that's just who Kevin always was, the one and only person I could tell everything to and receive zero judgment, although he did usually laugh. As we grew into adults, this was a shared experience, and we had an intimate and unique language that was just between us. But more widely, Kevin was always someone you could rely on, whether it was helping Dad at the racetrack, picking me or Helen up from the airport, or buying Mum her lottery tickets and smokes. I had to. He was ready to help. Kev was by far the best communicator in the family. We always knew what he was up to, and he was always checking in to make sure we were okay. He believed in himself and stuck to his guns. I know that it's not easy to be a starving artist, but Kev knew what his dream was, and he was determined to reach it. But most of all, he was just always himself. There were no masks, there was no pretending. He was always straight up, true blue Kev. And that's a rarity in this world, and something he always encouraged in me. So leaving here today, as we piece our worlds back together over the coming months, years and decades, I'd like to think we can take some of Kev's lessons and bring them into our lives. Let him live on in us by treating this loss not just as a wound, but as a hole that we can fill with his strengths and wisdom and grow. Let's communicate more, love more, not be afraid to be ourselves, never give up, always self-motivate, be trustworthy, be sensitive, and endlessly passionate. This is who Kevin was to his family, to his friends, to strangers, and to his 57,000 YouTube subscribers. So let's leave here today all being a bit more like Kev, because I think the world will be a little brighter because of it.
Sorry, I've been doing all right up to now. I'm Jim. I'm Kevin's uncle. I don't want to be standing here today. And I don't want for us to have this event. I don't want to be here at all, really, because this is all wrong. When the news came through from Taiwan, we hoped it was a misunderstanding, a communication problem, a lost in translation thing, but it turned out it wasn't. When the news came through from Taiwan, the family scrambled to get there as fast as they could to sort things out, find out the truth, get Kev fixed, and bring him home. But it turned out quite differently. When the news came through from Taiwan, memories come flooding back of a blonde, grinning boy and a brave, adventurous young man. That we all loved and prayed for in our own way, but it turned out we were too late. And when the news came through from Taiwan, the last news, the fabric of our whānau in the world was torn, and a hole exists which won't ever fully be repaired. And we were all angry, and we still are, some of us, that Kev has gone from us so soon, too soon. And I don't know the adult Kev as well as I knew the boy, and I didn't get to say goodbye to him when he went overseas. And for all that, I'm extremely sad. But I'm proud to have been his uncle. And I'm proud of the person he became. And I'm only sorry he didn't get the chance to be the person he was going to be and that he wanted to be. So goodbye, Kevin, a unique and much loved son, grandson, brother, friend, lover. You'll always be in our hearts.
I have fallen over once already today, so if I fell off here, it wouldn't be a surprise. I'd like to remember Wynne Thompson, Kevin's nana. And a woman spoke, saying, "Tell us of pain." And the prophet replied, "Your pain is in the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break that its heart may stand in the sun, so you must know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields. And you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief."
We now have a tribute to play on the screen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin. This is my co-host Teddy.
Yesterday I got a letter from an old friend of mine. Oh, it had some words and a picture. You changed your life, and you said that.
So, as you can see, that was pretty tough. You have to pull yourself up, you have to let yourself back down.
Days slip slowly by. We should meet up and see it. We could be alright.
You know we had to come from overseas on this one. It's Hoodie Allen on his BB down. Say what up to BB Brown.
Really showing.
Y'all, let's get loud.
Yeah, it's definitely.
RJ drop. Yeah, I gotta shorten up my words cause I speak fast. Girls got me caught up like a recap. She's always high score, nobody could beat that. But talk's cheap, so consider this my free rap. A free app, but nothing is free really. There's a shark in the water, I'm ready to free Willy. Why so serious?
Okay. So obviously that's a joke.
Cold shoulder, I'm ready to be chilly. Damn, let's work it out, girl. This is gym class.
Hello, everybody. 780. Oh. Stuck.
It seems my life is gonna change. I close my eyes, begin to pray, then tears of joy stream down my face.
Not the great, but whatever.
We made it.
This place, I'll show you everything with arms wide open. With arms wide open.
If you had to shave one, would you keep your beard or your mustache? I'd probably keep the beard because I look kind of funny with just a mustache on, that's for sure. Alpha asks, do you share AdSense revenue with Teddy? If so, what does he spend it on? Yes, I do, and he spends it on Teddy stuff. And I'll let you and your imagination figure out what that means. I had so many good times. I had so much fun riding my bike, and I'm really going to miss the muddy one here. It was just such a good time. And that's going to round it out. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video, and I'll see you all next time.
Thank you so much for that, Jacinta. I think Kevin would have been proud of what technology's been able to do for us even today, wouldn't he? These videos will allow us to remember his face and his expressions, that wonderful laugh, and his words. We now have two very special friends of Kevin who will be sharing their memories, starting with Alicia and then followed by Steve.
Hi everyone, my name is Alicia and this is Kyle, who's up here to support me. Together with Kyle, Kevin was my best friend. I first met Kevin in high school, being in the same class. He was always joking around, just making everyone laugh. And this may be how most people knew him at that time, as this colourful character, just having a good time and never taking himself too seriously. It wasn't until years later, when I was going through a breakup, that I got to see another side of Kevin. He was patient and he held me when I cried. He was supportive, giving me hope on getting through it, and also mature and logical, and giving me some hard truths. Somehow he was still always able to make me laugh while I was going through this tough period. I remember this one time he took me to Countdown and just bought me like 10 different bags of lollies and chips and like everything, and we just stayed up for like hours watching funny shows, and he was just doing everything to cheer me up. And ever since then I was just like, wow, this is someone so special. We're really close ever since. Kevin was always genuine and accepting of you exactly the way that you are. I could always call or message him without any hesitation, and he would do anything he could to help. Kyle lived with Kevin for 2 years before he moved to Taiwan, and he was saying that during that whole time, he never heard Kevin say a bad word about anyone. I was just always so amazed at how selfless Kevin was, just always thinking of others. He also recently went through his own breakup, but at one point he even apologised to me because he thought he was overburdening me with it. And I was just like, after everything he had done for me, he just expected nothing in return. I see Kevin as someone who was brave for believing in himself. Instead of a conventional career, He chased after his passion of creating his own YouTube channel and being self-employed. He was always talking about it and working hard on it. You could just tell how excited and happy that it made him. He really cared about his fans, and I'm grateful for all their support and love for Kevin, especially over the last few weeks. So I just wanted to say thank you to his fans, as well as all his friends that he met through YouTube. Our own lives can get in the way sometimes, and it's sad how common it is to drift apart after high school. But I think Kevin would be really happy seeing all of his old friends come together again, and knowing that even though so many years have passed, he still had so many people that cared about him. So thank you to all of his friends for all the lovely messages for Kevin recently, and the reminiscing on the good times and funny stories about Kevin. It hurts knowing how much more he had planned to do. He was considering trying out living in Vietnam or South Korea, and he wanted to get married and have kids of his own one day. It's easy to see that family was important to Kevin, because I think the love that he had for his family was a big part of why he wanted his own kids one day. He always talked about family, his mum's caring nature and constant support during his move to this new country, how he got his dad's passion for history and engineering, his brother travelling and moving overseas, giving him the courage to do the same, and how much he looked up to his sisters and just loved being an uncle. But I'm really glad knowing that Kevin had a chance to do a lot of what he wanted. He experienced living in Taiwan, he experienced motorbiking through Vietnam, he was starting to learn some more Chinese, and he said he was starting to feel like a stronger person every day. Kevin, you're one of the most important people in my life, and I'm really going to miss you. You taught me what true friendship was, and I'll never forget this friendship that we shared. I love you so much, and I'll carry part of you with me throughout the rest of my life.
I didn't know Kevin for as long as many of you here today. Unfortunately, I only knew him for 3 years, but I do feel like I got to know him really well in that time. I first met Kev when participating on a live stream on another channel. There were 4 of us, and while I was aware of Kev's work, he had no idea who I was, which was understandable given no one did at the time. I'd just started making videos. Yet despite that, Kev was very welcoming, very friendly, and he genuinely seemed like he wanted to get to know me better. We had a really nice private chat after the live show, and from that point we continued to talk on a regular basis and became really good friends. It's strange to think just how good we got to know each other over that 3-year period, despite only meeting in person twice, each time spending about a week over in Taiwan for the Computex trade show. Most days we'd catch up for a few hours, have dinner, chat about anything really, and that was the great thing about Kev. There was never that awkward silence you get with some people. I was convinced he always had about 24 backup topics that he was ready to discuss. One of my favourite memories with Kev was one that we shared with everyone, and that was on the Megamix live stream. There was a few photos of it up there. Basically, it was 3 hours of trying some of the worst tasting drinks we'd ever come across. It might not sound like fun, but watching Kevin and Tim try to keep it together while their eyes watered from the taste of stuff like asparagus juice, it was very funny. I actually regret not doing that again this year. Kev was really keen to do it again, but after the previous year's efforts, no one else was that keen to do it again. The guy I work with, Tim, he was sick for about 2 days. So, yeah, mind you though, Kev himself didn't pull up too well. He was feeling off his game for a couple of days, but, you know, Kev, I think he just had so much fun with us and the viewers that he was willing to suffer through it all over again and taste the asparagus juice one more time. The great thing about watching Kev, whether it be on a live stream or on his own channel in his regular videos is that you really were watching Kev. I think a lot of you here today would know that. It's just how he was in person. He was very casual, very relaxed, very open and honest. He was a very kind person, he was a good person, and he was a really good mate. He was also very well respected in the tech community, and not just by other tech channels and his fans, but also by the companies that he worked with and often critiqued. I'd just like to thank everyone who attended today, whether that be in person or on the live stream. The support shown for Kev when he first fell ill was really moving, and I know Kev would have been just so touched by it. I really can't put into words what it would have meant to him. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. But we'll miss you, Kev, but we'll never forget him. Rest in peace, mate.
Family and loved ones, our task now is to release Kevin into his eternal adventure, and I think he would have wanted you to see it that way. Perhaps, regardless of your faith, you might allow yourself to be comforted by a hope for life beyond the here and now, a hope that whispers that this is not really the end for any of us. My hope is that you would perhaps see a God that cares enough to weep with you and gently bring light to your journey on the difficult road ahead. We know from all of these beautiful words that you have just shared that Kevin has left his imprint on each of our lives, all in different ways, but all with something that is uniquely Kevin. That deep impression that he has left on you lives on through you and out to the world. This is how we keep Kevin very real and present to us, because he is still so very real and so very near. Over the coming days, months, and years, keep having conversations about Kevin, maybe even with him. Keep picturing what he would have said in different settings. Tell his stories, hear him speak, hear him laugh. Kevin's voice, his talents, and his heart will live on through each of you. I will shortly read a committal to close out the service. And after this is read, you're invited to place a sprig of rosemary at the front here. And the rosemary is to symbolize remembrance. So it's to say, Kevin, I'll remember you. So I encourage you to leave that there at the front. There's also some pages at the back as you came in, which the family would love you to write some personal messages or just even to your name to acknowledge that you were here today. And also we'd love you to stay behind for refreshments and join us in sharing with and about Kevin. So let's stand, everyone, and I'll read that committal. We have come today to remember Kevin and to give thanks again for the gift of his life, for the years we shared with him, for the good we saw in him, and the love we received from him. We are thankful that he is at peace and release him into the promise of life beyond. Now may healing flow from sorrow, hope emerge from darkness, and memories become even more precious, so that past, present, and future may be as one in the mystery of God's love for us all. Kevin Nicholas Moorhead, we commit you into the promise of love and life beyond. Amen.
Inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.